What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So Phase 1 of the Burning Crusade Classic was a wake-up call for Melee players. Casters dominated the charts, but Melee still carved out their place, and some specs performed way better than people remember. Today, we're ranking every Melee DPS in Phase 1. That's going to be our Feral Druids, Enhancement Shamans, Rogues, Retribution Paladins, Arms Warriors, and Fury Warriors. We'll go worst to best based on Warcraft Log's performance from the last TBC Classic Phase 1 and dive exactly into why each spec landed where it did. So coming in last place is Feral Druid DPS. And no, this doesn't mean Feral was bad overall. It means that when you look up top parses, their raw single target DPS in Phase 1 just lagged behind the rest. But the reasons have more to do with early game scaling and raid roll rather than just player skill. Feral relied heavily on very specific stat combinations like high attack power, the right crit thresholds, and early hit and expertise that simply weren't easy to obtain in Phase 1 gear. On top of that, most raids just brought Ferals for their utility, right? We had Leader of the Pack, they can be an emergency off-tank if they needed, they just had great general flexibility. So the result was that they had great raid value but just low personal damage numbers, especially early on in the expansion. So Feral wasn't unplayable, they just weren't built for dominating the damage meters in Phase 1. Now next up at number 5, we have a melee spec that brought massive value to the raid, even if their personal DPS wasn't top tier. That is our Enhancement Shaman. So Enhancement Shamans sit here at number 5. Enhancement actually performed respectably well in Phase 1, but their single target damage numbers just couldn't keep up with Rogues, Warriors, and Rep Paladins. Their real strength lied in utility, Wind Fury, and buffing everyone around them, right? Wind Fury is absolutely incredible, but Shamans themselves are heavily gear dependent. Their damage skyrockets once they get top weapons, but early on in Phase 1, many Shamans didn't have strong slow weapons yet. You're obviously going to want to be a blacksmith for Dragon Maw because that's a no-brainer, but they also balance personal DPS with totem responsibilities. So they're extremely valuable. They're very fun to play. I actually played an Enhancement Shaman last time around, and it reminded me a lot of vanilla Fury Warrior. But their personal damage numbers just are going to end up kind of mid to lower part of the melee rankings. So now we're getting to the true middle of the pack, and these next few specs start creeping into competitive DPS territory. So number 4 is a classic fan favorite melee class that thrives once gear starts rolling in. That is going to be the Rogue. Rogues, specifically combat rogues, performed pretty solid in Phase 1. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. But they're definitely a highly reliable DPS. Their rotation is simple, their uptime is excellent, and combat scales extremely well with early tier 4 gear and hit rating. The biggest limiter for rogues, though, early on was hit and expertise. Phase 1 gear didn't offer enough of those stats, so missing attacks and getting dodged definitely hurt their damage. But once better weapons dropped, rogues became monsters. Early on in TBC Classic, it kept them in the respectable middle-of-the-road type of category. Now we move on to the top 3. Melee specs that consistently performed well in Phase 1 and even surprised many players. Number 3 is a melee class that went from the meme spec in Classic Vanilla to actually competitive DPS in TBC Classic. This is going to be our Retribution Paladin. Retribution Paladins exceeded expectations in Phase 1. With Seal of Command or Seal of Blood, Judgment Cycles, and consistent cooldown windows like Avenging Wrath, Ret Paladins delivered real sustained damage, and it showed clearly in the logs. Now this was partly due to mastering seal twisting, which I actually found a pretty fun way to play Pally. Now, Ret was definitely boosted by two big things, right? First, the burst damage windows perfectly aligned with many Phase 1 boss fights, letting them pop cooldowns and spike their damage. And second, Rets offered raid utility, like judgment debuffs, blessings, off-healing when needed, meaning guilds took them even if they weren't topping DPS. I played a Ret Paladin back in TBC Classic last time, and I gotta say, I loved seal twisting. It was one of the most fun things I've ever done on a Paladin. Getting those big twisting crits with Seal of Command felt incredible. So Ret Paladin is definitely the true middle-of-the-pack melee DPS if it's something you're looking into playing. Okay, so now, in my opinion, we're entering heavy hitter territory. Number 2 is a warrior spec that performed incredibly consistently and brought some of the best physical debuffs in the game. This is none other than the Arms Warrior. Arms Warriors delivered strong damage in Phase 1. They benefited from early itemization, strong multipliers, and a smooth rotation. Arms also brought raid value thanks to their debuffs and group synergy, which cemented them near the top. With the hit rating, strength, and weapon choices available in early raids, Arms scaled faster than most melee. While Fury would eventually surpass them, Arms was incredibly competitive throughout all of Phase 1 in TBC Classic, especially in fights with cleave potential. Okay, so finally number 1, the melee DPS king of Phase 1 in TBC Classic. The spec that topped the damage meters, dominated parses, and scaled harder than anything else this early in the expansion. Fury Warriors. Fury Warriors topped the melee charts in Phase 1, and honestly, it wasn't even close. The combination of strong weapon-based scaling, consistent rage generation, and early itemization perfectly suited Fury's kit. Fury has insane synergy with the stats available early on, right? Like attack power, crit, weapon damage, and early haste procs. Once warriors secured good weapons, even just Karazhan drops, their ceiling skyrocketed damage-wise. With strong uptime and predictable rage flow, Fury simply outpaced every other melee spec in Phase 1 TBC. Fury Warrior is definitely one of the melee specs that I plan on playing. I'm actually trying to decide for myself right now between playing Fury Warrior and BM Hunter first. I'm not sure which one I want to play. I do love Warrior, you guys know that, but I also really love BM Hunter in TBC. I'm not sure what I'm going to play, but I absolutely will be playing my Warrior at some point because it is that much fun. Last time around, everyone thought Warriors were going to suck, and that just simply wasn't the case. I played Fury Warrior last time and had a blast doing it. You're probably not going to be topping the meters. That's going to be your BM Hunters and your Warlocks, and probably even your Arcane Mages this time around with shorter kill times due to post-nerf raids. But if you're looking to play like the top-tier melee DPS, do not rule out Warrior. It is an absolute blast in TBC. So I just want to give you guys a quick reminder, right? These rankings that I just did are based on the 95th percentile, right? Basically the top 5% Warcraft log parses from the last run of TBC Classics Phase 1. So your results may vary depending on gear, raid comp, player skill, but this just gives a clear picture of if you're in the top 5%, this is pretty much the melee, I guess you would call it a tier list. This is how it would be, right? So melee performance definitely can change dramatically from Phase 1 to later tiers, so don't worry, I will be making a video like this for every single tier. I'm also going to make a video covering range DPS, tanks, healers, etc, etc. So that's basically your full breakdown of melee DPS performance in Phase 1 of TBC based on last TBC Classics logs. You have Feral kind of at the bottom, Fury at the top, Enhancement, Rogue, Ret, and Arms filling in the middle. But if you guys want like a boss by boss breakdown or something like that, let me know. Maybe I'll look into doing something like that. It would be a lot more work than just doing this. I mean, going boss by boss is kind of crazy. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But either way, let me know if it's something you guys maybe would want to see, and we'll think about possibly doing it in the future. But either way, I want you guys to know that really none of this matters. If you want to play Feral Druid, play it, because guess what? We're getting raids in a post-nerf state, right? So Feral Druid may perform way better than it did last time either way, and it doesn't really matter. This is the third time we're playing TBC, so the most important thing to take away is play what you want to play what you're going to find fun, and none of this stuff really matters. You can find a guild that will take you if you're not playing a meta spec. Just completely ignore that and just focus on having fun in the game. I am by no way a guru. I am a player of the game. I create content on the game, and I just felt like you guys wanted this video. I've been asked for it multiple times, so I dug back in the logs from the last TBC and put this together. But I don't want people to be like, oh, you can't play Feral Druid, you can't play Enhancement Shaman, all this stuff. Play what you want to play and have fun, because at the end of the day, guys, that is the most important thing. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy TBC. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite expansion of all time, and I hope this video helps you guys. If it did, drop it a like. It helps me out with the algorithm. Follow me over on Kick, kick.com/hammerdance. I stream Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and when TBC pre-patch drops, we're going to be going pretty ham, so make sure you're there. It's going to be a good time. But either way, subscribe to the channel if you love Classic WoW just as much as me, and thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.